ask you guys a question real quick, because I had this discussion on a couple of different platforms, and I did this segment called Last Chance, No Chance.
Okay.
But I'm really curious. I took it really, really, really deep, and I don't want to go that deep, but I want to ask just about one particular player, and then I want to get into something that Pro Football Focus. But I want to see what your discussion level is on this particular player. On the last chance or no chance for a Dallas Cowboys player, I was thinking about Deuce Vaughn. Where are we on Deuce Vaughn? Last chance, no chance. And when I say this, I'm thinking about for the 53-man roster.
Yeah.
Is there anybody that's willing to fight for him on this roster right now? Because like I was looking at guys like him. I was looking at Brooks was another guy.
Sure. And Jalen Brooks is interesting because I wonder, like I was looking, Eric and I talked about this on Love of the Star, like position groups, maybe they could end up trading if they have a surplus. One is interior lineman, but they might end up actually having some wide receiver depth, and Jalen Brooks would be an interesting name who has, I think, made the most of his opportunities when he's got on the field and special teams. Here's what I'd say: if there's somebody on the coaching staff that would fight for Deuce Vaughn, it's obviously Coach Riley, offensive line coach who was with him at K-State. And then I wonder about Shoddy. You know, Marty, and he was there in San Diego where they had success with Darren Sproles at the very beginning of his career.
Man.
Maybe he's got a plan, but I lean no chance. I mean, as soon as they took Blue and they took Maffa, and then you bring in Williams, you bring in Sanders, I don't think there's a spot. So considering the fact that he's proven he can't play special teams whatsoever.
Sure.
Like, he's uncomfortable returning, Deuce Vaughn.
Sure.
He can't cover. So you've got to have, if you're going to be like a third or even a fourth, and we're not even factoring Hunter Lipke, at least I haven't into this.
Sure.
So I think there's no chance unless the offensive line coach makes a huge case for him, and Shoddy does see, like, yeah, I can do some gadget fun things here.
Yeah, I lean no chance. Your fielder's choice there. First baseman couldn't get to it, couldn't get the scoop. One scores. It's 4-3 now with 2 outs. I'm going to say Dunsky for Deuce Vaughn. I just think there's too many guys now in that running back room, even Lipke and Maffa, you know.
Yeah, the thing that when I think of Deuce Vaughn, it always reminds me of what Bill Parcells said to me. And he said it not just to me, but to everybody that worked in the personnel department, is like, these guys, when you bring them to the game, how many plays are they going to play? And the problem I see with Deuce Vaughn is, unless he's the starter, and you know, we've seen what's happened with the Cowboys with these running backs. It seems like every time they have running backs that don't play special teams. You know, it seems like that they have 2 or 3 guys. I mean, Hunter Lipke's out there probably taking every special team rep, you know, and plus doing what he has to do. But I just don't see it, unless Deuce Vaughn is the starter, I just don't see a real role for him.
And all of his chances, it's been under 3.5 an attempt with a decent sample size. You're not going to get the runner out of it, and he would have to be a star runner to put up with everything else you mentioned.
Yeah, I just don't. I don't know what the height limits him, and
Absolutely.
And it's not the desire or anything like that. And when you say that, you're trying to, like, I'm being a mean guy, but I'm trying to be nice here right now. But it really does. I mean, it's
happened, like Quiz Rogers. It's doable at that size. I don't want to say he's too small to do it. He's just not good enough to do it.
Okay, then this turns into, I think that the Quiz Rogers situation, they had a plan for what they were going to do with the guy.
No, that's exactly it.
This might be maybe the biggest reason. I talk about lack of height for Deuce Vaughn. I wonder if the biggest problem he has is the coaching staff. And I say that in a way of, do you really have a plan? When I'm watching a Wednesday practice last week, the OTAs, and they're putting CeeDee Lamb in the backfield, and they're putting Turpin in the backfield. To me, that's like, well, isn't that kind of stuff that maybe you could do with Deuce Vaughn.
In theory, but he doesn't have, like you mentioned, Darren Sproles and stuff like that. Like, he doesn't have that same type of elusiveness or burst or quickness or speed. Like, I think even less than the height is just he doesn't have the athleticism to make up for it. He doesn't have the Darren Sproles burst or a Turpin type of speed or burst.
And the bulk. Like, Jacquizz Rodgers was a bowling ball.
Yeah.
Like even Maurice Jones-Drew, smaller back, but these guys were,
Strong.
strike a match.
Thick, yeah.
It's and Deuce is lacking that a little bit. I was optimistic that they'd have a plan for him. They were trying him out at some wide receiver stuff. Maybe they saw something there.
Yeah, we came dancing in here for a show 2 years ago, like, they're using him as a wide receiver. Oh, look, they're looking at him as a slot. What?
We never saw
it again.
I know,
and that's kind of like that's been the MO, if you want to say, of what the coaching staff has done here the last several years. That maybe guys do have, and people are like, oh, I'm sure if Deuce Vaughn went to Kansas City or the Rams or something.
The hope that a different coaching staff is going to find a role for him. And I think, having CD and Turpin in the backfield is actually encouraging for Turpin for me because we're looking for a lot of different things. What Lamb does that's so exciting is he can take it and run it, or he's going to get into the slot and run a route. So you're really in conflict there. And I think that's why they wanted to see if they could get Vaughn some targets in the passing game, because if he could do that, now you're putting him in a position where maybe he could get a matchup. But what I think we need is for them to play their games before and after the snap, create space to get the ball to Vaughn on the outside or with some decent protection. And I think he's quick enough to make plays. But it's going to have to be this coaching staff putting him in a position, because the traditional opportunities that he's getting, there's just not enough there.
No, there's not. And look, the questions are going to be, can he beat somebody out for a job? That's the big. To me, I look at the way that them drafting Blue, that just seems to me that eliminates Deuce Vaughn there, right? Doesn't it?
I'm with you.
You got to have size or speed. And, when I saw his 40 time coming out of college, I was like, whew, this is a long shot.
Yeah. Well, I can say there's times where he's looked good in training camp and things like that, but I think this is a no chance situation right here. All right, Pro Football Focus. And as I finish my stuff up here in a little bit, Pro Football Focus put out today every team's make or break player for the 2025 season, and I was interested because would you guys like to take a guess? Just a guess.
Guyton.
Mazy?
Yeah, Guyton was the first name that came to mind for me. Or just like for their career, or
just right now,
season?
just for their career right now with the Dallas Cowboys.
Sam Williams?
Make or break. No, you're right.
Okay,
you're right. It's Mazy Smith. They think, and this is what they were saying about Mazy Smith. They were saying that Dallas's run defense was a sieve.
Mm-hmm.
But we talked about this. As a sieve. And you're blaming, you're kind of tagging that with Mazy Smith right now, as everybody else was sieving right along with him. But he posted the second worst Pro Football Focus defensive grade in the NFL.
Yeah, that's the thing is, like, that's his job. Yes, I'm a corner. I'm not a good tackler, but I get picks, and I'm covering guys like Mazy. You need him to stop the run, and he's got one of the worst scores on the team.
Yeah. He had the 9th worst mark among defensive tackles who played at least 200 snaps. Defensive run snaps in that span last year. They're thinking that maybe Matt Eberflus can unlock something we have yet to see from Smith. If Smith can't figure things out this season, though, it wouldn't be surprising to see him playing elsewhere in 2026.
Elsewhere being like the UFL. You might be able to play for the Renegades.
Hey, Taco Charlton got picked up by some teams, and that dude was probably even worse than what Mazy's been. So, just the first-round pedigree, I think he's going to end up probably getting some other opportunities, but it could end up
2 or 3 years
just a matter of time, from probably doing that.
From my understanding, I'd be patient with Mazy because he's one of the strongest guys in the league, and you just don't know when
it's going to unlock
the love of the game.
Yeah.
Where is he mentally and psychologically and emotionally as he's gone through this struggle? We've heard that maybe he didn't handle it well. Well, if he keeps working hard at some point,
This is his 3rd defensive line coach that he's had.
Yeah.
Is that even a consideration? And I'm not making excuses. We've talked about this. The film against division opponents was actually pretty decent, but I'm kind of in the mode right now where I don't need Mazy to play great. I kind of think of him like Guyton now.
Yeah.
I just play.
I think of Guyton still so much better, so much more optimism.
I'm going to say it this way, Eric. Just play good. I'm not asking you to be great.
Yeah.
I'm almost asking you to be Terrence Steele good. Is that too much to ask of a player right now?
It's not too much to ask, no. But I don't have optimism that he can even be that. But I think it's fair to just say, hey, can you go out there and just be an average player? Just an average, a guy with one job, as Dawson mentioned. Just help us stop the run.
And the thing there is you could get that for like $3 million in free agency. It's one thing if you're like, hey, we got to depend on Ravel because a good corner is going to cost us $22 million.
Right.
All you have to do is go get a decent veteran, Brian, instead of keeping your fingers crossed that Mazy's going to make your scouts right.
Yeah, I mean, he's shown some flashes, and if there's an undersized center, I think he's going to have a good game.
Yeah.
He's proven that. But otherwise, I'm with you, though. If you can just get average play from Mazy, that's kind of all I'm looking forward to.
I'm kind of thinking the same thing with Guyton. And not I say good.
Just don't be a liability.
Yeah, don't be a liability at defensive tackle, and don't be a liability at left tackle.